right, section 2.3, okay? We are going to talk about slope, okay? And that's probably a word that you've heard a lot in your math classes, okay? The slope of a line is the steepness of a line, all right? So how far does it tilt, right? These would be very large slopes, right? This, not so much, right? That would be very steep. This one, not so much, right? Okay, so the slope of a line through the points x1, y1, and x2, y2 is given by this formula. M equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, okay? So we like to say rise over run, right? So rise, that helps you remember that these will be your y values. And run, so left to right, is your x values, okay? And you do 2 minus the second one minus the first one, okay? So for example, we have find the slope of the line passing through these 2 points, okay? So I like to go and label them, okay? X1, let me make that smaller. X1, Y1, X2, Y2, okay? I will help you not make a mistake of plugging in the wrong number, okay? So M equals Y2 minus Y1, rise over run, X2 minus X1, okay? Y2 is negative 13, right? I got that from right here. And Y1 is negative 1 over 2 minus negative 6, okay? Now, we have negative 13. You have minus a negative, so you have plus 1. And 2 minus negative 6 is 2 plus 6, okay? A negative, a minus, a negative is a positive, okay? So you get negative 12 over 8. And we're going to want to simplify this into simplest terms. So 4 goes into both. So we have a 3 and a 2. So we get negative 3 halves as our answer. So the slope of the line that passes through these 2 points is negative 3 halves, okay? That is all that I am saying, okay? Now, here's some slope examples, okay? I'm going to highlight this. My notes are a little scrunched up, okay? Slope examples. We have positive and negative slope, zero slope, and undefined slope, okay? So let's look at positive and negative first. Okay, your positive is always going to look like this. And you have rise over run, okay? So you're going to have a positive slope whenever you make 2 positive moves with your rise and run or 2 negative moves with your rise and run, right? A positive times a positive is a positive, and a negative times a negative is a positive, okay? So it's kind of that same thing, right? So if I'm right here, I'm either going to go up, which is positive, to the right, which is positive, and I'm going to keep going, right? So I'm here, I'm going to go bam, 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 bam. I still am making a positive move, or I could go down, which is negative, and left, which is negative, and still get there. So, all right, I'm just trying to make you see that you can either go up and to the right to make a positive slope, or you could go down and to the left. 2 negative moves or 2 positive moves will always give you that positive slope. Now, negative slope, you're either going to go, you're going to make a positive move and a negative move in either order. So you can make a positive and then a negative, or a negative and then a positive. So if I went down, that would be negative, to the right would be positive, down and to the right, down and to the right. Or I could go up, which is positive, to the left, which is negative, and I could keep doing that, okay? Zero slope, right? This has no rise and run, right? It's not rising and running anything, so that is a zero slope. That is going to be your horizontal line. Your vertical line will be your undefined slope, okay? We don't know what that is. We don't know what it's rising and it's running, okay? We know it's rising and running 0 here, but it's not rising and running anything there, okay? So that would be undefined, all right? Here's another equation that we're going to use is point slope, okay? So the point slope equation of a non-vertical line, meaning that it's not undefined. Non-vertical would mean it's not like this, that it's either of these three. With slope m that passes through x1, y1 is given by the formula y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1, okay? This is the point slope formula, okay? And we are going to use that with these next few examples, okay? So this says find the equation of the line that passes through the point 10, 4 and has a slope negative 2/5, then solve for y, okay? So here we're given a point and you're given slope, okay? So we're given x1 and y1 and we're given m, okay? So look at your formula up here. You're given this, this, and this, okay? So you need point and you need slope, point, slope formula. Makes sense that you would need your point and your slope, point and slope. Your point was 10, 4. Your slope was it negative? Yeah, negative 2/5. All right. So now you're going to plug that into y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Okay. So you have y minus y1, which is, so we have x1, y1, which is 4, equals your m is going to be your slope. That's how we denote slope is m times x minus 10, which is x1, okay? So we get, I'm going to go up here and do it. Y minus 4 equals negative 2/5 x, right? And you have, here, I'll write it out. We're doing this. And then we have negative 2/5 times negative 10. So we're going to have plus 20 over 5, right? 2 times 10 is 20 over 5 gives you 4. Okay, you have a calculator, so that shouldn't have rocked your world too much. And now we're going to solve for y. And we get that y equals negative 2/5 x plus 8. So you say, okay, what did we just find? Okay. We found the equation of the line that passes through some point and has some slope, and then we solved for y. Okay, so what I'm saying is that when we graph this line right here, it's going to pass through this point, and the slope is going to be negative 2/5. Okay, the equation of the line that passes through this point and has this slope is this equation. Okay, that's all I'm saying. All right. So let's look at example 3. All right. In example 2, we were given slope and a point. Here, we're just saying find the equation of the line that passes through these 2 points and then solve for y. Okay. Now, we need, in order to use point slope, we need 2 things. Point and slope, right? Well, we're given 2 points, right? So we could say x1, y1 and x2, y2. We do not have slope, but we have 2 points. So we can find slope by saying m equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Okay, and we have x2 as 7. We have x2 as 7. I meant y2. Y2 as 7. Y1 as -3. X2 as -3. X1 as 2. Okay. And we get 10 over -5, which gives us -2. Okay. So we found our slope that passes through those 2 points. All right. And for the point, you just pick whichever one you labeled x1, y1. And I labeled, let me look, 2, -3 as my x1, y1. Okay. Now I have a point and I have slope, so I can use point slope, which is y2 minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. So you get, I meant y, not y2. So you get y minus y1. Okay, we have x1, y1 over here. Minus -3. Keep up with your negatives there. Then I have -2 times x minus 2. So I have y plus 3 equals -2x plus 4. I'm going to subtract 3 from both sides because I'm solving for y. And I get y equals -2x plus 1. Okay. So again, what I'm saying is if I graphed this line, then that line would pass through the points 2, -3 and 3, 7, and it would have a slope of -2. Okay. Now we have another thing right under this that goes with our next example. Slope-intercept form of an equation is y equals mx plus b. Now, our m you know is slope. Okay, our m is slope. B is going to be our y-intercept. Our y-intercept, okay? So I can give you questions like this that say graph using the slope and intercept, all right? So I gave you an equation of a line right here. And I want you to graph it by using the slope and the y-intercept, okay? So look, this is in the form of y equals mx plus b, okay? I'm going to try to line it up. Here's your m. Here's your b. Okay. So our m, which is our slope, is 3/5. And our b, which is our y-intercept, is 1. Okay. What does y-intercept mean? That's where you're going to start. Okay. And you're going to start on the y-axis, so the vertical one. And you're going to plot the point 0, 1. Okay, because it needs to be on the y-axis, so your x coordinate needs to be 0. So you have 1. So you start at your y-intercept, and then you rise and run whatever your slope is. Okay, so your slope is 3/5. So you're going to rise 3, run 5. Your slope is positive, so you're either going to make 2 positive moves up and to the right or 2 negative moves down and to the left. Either one is fine. So you're going to go up 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay, and you ended here. And then you're going to go over 5. So you're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And you draw your line. See if I can get it. There we go. Okay, you could have gone down 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and drawn these 2 lines. That is fine. See how these are all on the same line though? Okay, here's my other point. Here's this point. Here's my y-intercept, right? Okay, so either one is fine as long as you make a positive slope out of that. Make that dot bigger. This one bigger. Okay. So again, it all comes back to this y equals mx plus b. We were given y equals mx plus b form there. Here, we're not. We have 2x plus y equals 5, okay? First, we need to get y by itself. So we're going to subtract 2x from both sides and get y equals negative 2x plus 5. Okay, so our m is here, our b is here, okay? Our slope is negative 2, our b is 5, okay? So that means that we're going to plot the point 0, 5, which is right here. Our slope is negative 2, and we need to rise and run. Okay, so the way that we write negative 2, if we were to write it as a fraction, would be negative 2 over 1, right? And this is rise over run, okay? So we're going to rise negative 2, run 1, all right? So it's negative, so we need to do a positive move and then a negative move, or a negative and then a positive. Okay, in this case, we're going to do negative and then positive just because we don't want to go up because then we're going to go off our graph, right? So we're going to go down 2 over 1 to the right. Okay, so we went down, which is negative, and then we went over to the right, which is positive. So down 2, 1, 2 over 1, be here, and you can keep going. 1, 2 over 1, 1, 2 over 1. You can keep going. But you don't have to, you just have to do 2 points. There we go. That would be the graph of that line. Okay. All right. We also have horizontal lines and vertical lines. Horizontal lines and vertical lines. And we've gone over this a little bit. Horizontal lines, so that means these have a slope of 0 and a y equals b equation. B is our y-intercept, remember? So y equals b equation. Vertical lines have an undefined slope that's straight up and down. Okay. And has an x equals a equation. Okay, so those would be on the x-axis. Your vertical lines will be plotted on the x-axis. So here we have graph y equals 4. Okay, well, y equals 4. So you're going to go to the y-axis at 4, draw a dot, and your line will go horizontally. Okay, y equals b is your horizontal line. Okay, whatever you plot on, another way to remember this, whatever you plot on, so I plotted on a vertical line, so then I'm going to draw a horizontal, okay? You won't plot and then put a line on the line that you've have. That would be on your axis, okay? So let's say we did x equals -2. Okay, well, x equals -2, so you're going to go to the x-axis on -2 and draw your dot. Okay, you plotted on a horizontal line, so now you make a vertical line that passes through that point. Okay, so that is how you plot those. Okay, should not be difficult ones that you're dealing with. Okay, if it's an x equals, it is a vertical line. If it's y equals, it is a horizontal line. Okay. All right. Now, let's look at this. Okay, so we have just a note. The general form of an equation is ax plus by plus c equals 0. Okay. Ax plus by plus c equals 0. You may have some homework that asks you to put it in general form. That is what it will look like. Okay. So here we have find the slope and intercept of the equation and then graph. And we have 3x plus 6y equals 12. Okay, this is in general form, right? Let's put it into y-intercept form, sorry. So we need y equals mx plus b. So we're going to subtract 3x from both sides first. And we get 6y equals -3x plus 12. Then we're going to divide by 6 on every single term, right? We're trying to get y all by itself. So we get y equals -3/6x plus 2. Okay, well, we can simplify our slope down to 1/2 plus 2. Okay, so here's our m, here's our b, which is our y-intercept, right? So our m is -1/2, and our intercept is 2. Okay, so we're going to plot 0, 2. So we're going to plot 0, 2 here. And then we have a -1/2 slope. So we need to rise and run 1/2. So you can either make a positive move and then a negative move, or a negative move and then a positive move. So we could go down 1 over 2 and plot there. Or we could go up 1, which is positive, and over 2, which is negative. Okay, either one is fine. They will be on the same line. Okay, I made a positive and a negative move, or a negative and then a positive move. Okay. All right, now we have this discussion about intercepts. Okay, this discussion of intercepts. Okay, the x-intercept is the x-coordinate of the point where the graph intersects the x-axis. The y-coordinate of the x-intercept is always 0. To solve for the intercept, set y equal to 0 and solve for x. The y-intercept is the y-coordinate of a point where the graph intersects the y-axis. The x-intercept of the y-intercept is always 0. To solve for the y-intercept, set x equal to 0 and solve for y. Okay, that was a lot of words. But what you need to know is that the x-intercept is where it intersects the x-axis. So at what point are we crossing this x-axis is what it's asking. And because it's going to be a point on the x-axis, your y-coordinate has to be 0, okay? So to solve for that, we're going to take our y, put it equal to 0, and solve for x. And then we're going to do the exact opposite when looking for our y-intercept, okay? That's the point where the line crosses the y-axis, okay? So it makes sense that we're going to have a point on the y-axis. So it makes sense that we're going to have our x-coordinate equal to 0. And we'll set x equal to 0 and solve for y. So this says graph using the intercepts, and we have 8x minus 4y equals 16. I'm going to write that over. 8x minus 4y equals 16. And we need to find the x-intercept and the y-intercept. Okay, y-intercept means x equals 0. X-intercept means y equals 0. Y-intercept means x equals 0. Okay. So let's find our x-intercept. We have 8x minus 4 times 0, y equals 0, equals 16. So we have 8x equals 16, so x equals 2. Okay. Also, we have our y-intercept. So that means x equals 0. So we have 8 times 0 minus 4y equals 16. So we get negative 4y equals 16, divide by negative 4. And you get that y equals negative 4. Now, you have an x-intercept and a y-intercept, okay? Your x-intercept is 2. Your y-intercept is negative 4. You are not going to plot the point to negative 4. You're going to plot 2, 0, and 0, negative 4, okay? These 2 points need to be on the axes, okay? So your x-intercept is 2, 0. I went over 2, up 0. And your y-intercept is 0, negative 4, which is right here. Then you just connect your dots to make your line. And you're done. Okay, so if I ask you a question about your intercepts and you're having to graph them, you know that you're going to have 2 points, and each of those points are going to be on your axes. Okay, one's going to be on the x-axis, one's going to be on the y-axis. And I get that by finding your x-intercept, setting y equal to 0, y-intercept, set x equal to 0, solve your basic equations, and then plot them on the coordinate plane. Okay.